This lecture is to introduce you to the organic food system model in general and as an overview of the state of the art. I will put together some of the elements of the organic food system, and then I will put together scientific results from our findings of how the organic food system has an impact on environment and food quality. And finally, I will put things again together for showing how things are connected. My learning outcomes are focusing on organic as a food system and the linkage between the elements and the outcomes. The organic food system can be described as a values-based food system. The values can be identified from various sources and documents, such as the Codex Alimentarius or the organic standards by the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movements, IFOAM, or the national regulations, as well as from private standards, advertisements, and presentation of companies. We can identify mission values. This is health, ecology, fairness, and care, as well as operation values such as transparency, integrity, and trust. It will be interesting to take organic food systems as models for sustainable food systems, including sustainable diets, as they use terms describing both that were very similar. Here I connected the four values or principles from IFOAM with the Sustainable Diets definition of FAO. So that's the principle of health, the principle of fairness, the principle of ecology, and the principle of care from IFOAM. And I marked in the Sustainable Diets definition those terms which you can find also in the principles: environment, healthy life, future generations, ecosystems, fur, natural and human resources. The link to sustainability and its dimensions, as well as the system approach, is obvious. Taking the organic food system as a model also means to look at transformation processes of this system. This figure is from IFOAM International, where the further development of organic food systems is described through the Organic 3.0 process. The arrows differentiate the three development phases of the organic food systems from the start in the 20s of the 20th century through the coming from the niche to the market phase, and starts to impulse the organic sector to further developments. This Organic 3.0 process includes to share organic as well as to focus on the essentials. The flower to the right shows the multi-dimension approach for example, checking the outcomes. The production of organic food is regulated on international and national level. In EU, we have a regulation since 1991, which has been revised in 2007. The regulation primarily focuses on primary production, but also includes processing and import. The preamble of this regulation refers to a food system approach and mentions biodiversity as one of the outcomes. Two aspects are put together as purposes of the organic food production: environmental services as well as consumer confidence on sustainable foods. The next 3 slides intend to give you the impression that we really can talk of an organic food systems, as they will show you the geographical diversity of the different elements. It is an important achievement that we have lots of data from the organic food system available, which also makes it possible to work on testing different questions and hypotheses. The present graph shows the 10 countries with the largest organic agricultural land. Organic as in Australia is at the front, as here we have the permanent grassland and grazing. Europe and South America follows, and then USA and China. USA and China currently increases a lot. A complete different picture is for the actors within the organic food system. Here, the largest numbers of producers, as you can see, in Asia and Africa, with India at the top. At least looking at the markets, the fast-growing US market is at the top, followed by Europe. In some European countries, we have an increase in turnover of 10 to 15% every year, since a decade. As you may have found out, there occurs a gap between production and consumption, mainly for US and Germany. Here we consume more organic food than we produce, so we have to import to fill the gap. This should be carefully discussed, mainly in the context of impact on society and environment, when checking the conditions in the developing countries. When I said we have lots of data, I have to narrow that a little bit to a geographical region, as we have data from Europe and US. Here we have a long tradition of organic agriculture and food consumption. For EU, we have results from surveys asking consumers why they buy organic food, and the answers are quite clear. Consumers buy organic food because they think it's more healthy and sustainable. Interestingly, when the consumption patterns were analyzed, it seems that those buying regularly organic food follow a more healthy and sustainable dietary patterns compared to those never eat organic. But is organic more sustainable? It seems to depend on the indicator you choose for measuring sustainability. Normally, measurements are taken by comparing organic to non-organic, what they call conventional. This may be not the whole story, as both vary through many factors which are not regulated. Evaluation is taken by life cycle assessment methods based on indicators we can measure. Here, organic performs better when calculated by area, but not per food, as we have a yield gap between organic and non-organic farming methods. Indicators such as biodiversity, which are very complex and not so easy to measure, show a favor of organic farming methods. So when organic seems to impact biodiversity, it seems to impact less than non-organic, high-intensive farming. Why it is so? It's because farming is regulated. Very simple answer. Without a strict regulation of inputs, we may never find any differences. Inorganic synthetic nitrogen as well as pesticides are not allowed, also no GMO. The amount of cattle per square meter is less, and so on and so on. Next, we have the expectations of the consumer. Organic is more healthy. Yet, we do not have the evidence and lack studies measuring the effect on human health. But in the last years, we have more and more meta-analysis studies evaluating the organic food quality compared to non-organic food. From this, it seems that organic food contains markedly less pesticide residues and antibiotics. Furthermore, some of the secondary metabolites, which may have a positive effect on human health, seems increased through organic production methods. Again, when we check the results, it is obvious that the difference can be found because of the regulation of production. No pesticides applied, no residues. No GMO applied, no GMO in the food. And hence, healthy fatty acids in milk because we regulate the feeding regime and cows get more grass instead of silage. In processing, we lack more concrete regulations on the technology, so you can find organic Coke or burger on the market. Healthy? Whereas technologies and input of salt, fat and sugar is not really regulated in organic, the application of additives is. This figure shows the number of additives applied in different organic production systems compared to what is generally allowed and applied in the EU food system. Instead of several hundreds, only 48 are allowed, and private standards go even more down, as you can see with Demeter 2.9. This may be discussed in the context of consumer expectations for natural substances and food processes. Here I want to provide you with what happens in reality when more elements of the food systems are included. Some years ago we carried out an EU project on organic baby food, and we asked what would be the best way of production. We found that the organic industry used frozen carrots instead of fresh for preparation of the baby food puree, because this is fitting more to the production process. But our measurements show that taking fresh would enhance several quality aspects. When asking the mothers, these are the buyers of the food, we found that no one really knows how the food is produced. So there was no knowledge and there were no willingness to pay a higher price. So the industry has no argument to change. Another problem? Organic forbids or drastically diminished supplementation. But the EU baby food regulation asks for sterilization, and because of that we kill most of the heat-sensible compounds. So the EU baby food regulation asks for supplementation, which is in contrast to the EU organic regulation. Putting things together, you may see how important it is to take a food system approach and include organic production and consumption. The way we eat asks for the food, and the way around, the way we offer the food, influences our eating habits. Sustainable food systems need both regulation of production and consciousness food choices, also in organic. Organic fast food with a lot of salt, sugar and fat will really not help to stay healthy. Thank you for your attention.